all set?
Yes.
I'm waiting for Jim to give me the.
Oh,
Hi, everyone. I'll call the February 13th, 2024 Pleasant Ridge City Commission meeting to order. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Scott.
Present.
Commissioner Budnick.
Here.
Commissioner Lenko.
Here.
Commissioner Perry.
Here.
Commissioner Schmier.
Here.
Hi. And pledge of allegiance. I did this out of order.
Mr. Russell.
That's right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is what happens when you eat punchkis twice in a day. I have one more here that I may even dig into during the meeting. We'll see. Call any items for public discussion,
Yes.
please.
Hi, am I okay on the mic? Okay. Apologies at first, I'm at the end of a bad sinus infection
Oh,
and very
no.
nasally. I'm Nancy Wellinger. It's nice to know some of you, but not all of you. I've been a resident of Pleasant Ridge for about 12 years now. And this past Christmas, the day after Christmas, I was viciously attacked by my next door neighbor's dog. And this was not the first time I was attacked by this dog. He's a Great Pyrenees, and he's over 100 pounds. He's a lot of dog. It wasn't the first time, because one was indoors and one was outdoors, but both were unprovoked aggression on the part of someone who has been a dog owner my whole life. And in each case, he ripped through layers of clothing and skin. The summer one was bloodier. This one ripped my winter coat, my brand new winter coat, and left a big bruise and some puncture marks and required me to go to the doctor. I was lucky because I was about to take my 2-year-old grandson out of his car, a dog lover who would have run right toward that dog, and he was in a mood. And I just shudder to think what would have happened, because I take care of a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old grandson who live in Royal Oak a couple days a week. This is not the first time or the only person that this dog has attacked. He attacked a teenage boy taking a walk down our street, I think last summer or so, and I heard the screams. It was an attack. He has attacked one of our mailmen. He attacks the brother of the dog owner and has attacked the dog owner herself. I called the police and filed a report, as I was encouraged to do, and the reaction was to call animal control, go out to the house, and quarantine the dog for a couple weeks, which is good for the moment, but right now we're back to the same situation. I've made a number of attempts to try to talk to the dog owner. Let's work this out. We had already built a fence together that was better at protecting the dog, but the dog gets out all the time, so that fence is kind of a moot issue when the dog's free. She was charged with not having a dog license. She was charged with taking the dog off leash, but it kind of ended there. And another dog owner who wanted to join us tonight but is out of town, in this case, his dog was attacked by another dog. And instead of any quarantine on the part of the attacked dog, the victim dog had to be quarantined. Not sure why, but in either case, we don't have a lot more to go on beyond the kind of temporary, fixes to help these people. So I guess I'm struggling with what to do next, because I am so afraid that dog is going to bite again, because it's done it twice in the last few years. What's to stop that third one? And what's to stop that bite from going to a child, and in this case, a 10-pound baby? And I have friends who I've sought the opinions of, and they said it's hard for a baby sometimes to survive a big-mouthed dog attack with a dog this vicious and this large. And it seems that we are doing more these days, or have done, to protect the dog's rights. The dog's going free. I am running. I have friends who come over that are holding pepper spray. I have my grandson cries when he comes. There's just a lot we're dealing with, but the dog really hasn't kind of going on and doing his thing. So I think when we protect the rights of the dogs more than the owners, I think we have an issue, and it's something that I'd like to see addressed. And Mark's going to talk about another part. We're frickin' fracking on this one, so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. see if the microphone will still work for me.
I know, sorry.
A little bit will be reiterating some of the points that Nancy came, but I'm Mark McManus, a resident of Pleasant Ridge. I have a lot of background in animals. I'm an ex-pet shop owner. I've owned 9 dogs throughout the course of my life. I often found myself in the conversation concerning animals and issues surrounding them. And both the other resident of Pleasant Ridge that had his dog attacked and Nancy, I've discussed their situations with pretty extensively. And what struck me most was there being little knowledge or information available to the victims of the attacks. I recognize that the topic of a person's pet is an emotional and a very defensive one. So I feel that established and followed protocols should be enforced, because a casual dive into dog bite in Michigan, there are laws. There's immediate responsibility upon the dog owner for any expense, medical, and if you follow the cue of lawyer advertisements, pain and suffering. So there's a whole place that nobody really wants to go to that point, but there are laws that are available. And I just encourage a follow through on the protocol. The first responders, the animal control, I'm not sure where animal control comes from or who they answer to, but it kind of seems to me that that's the spot where the conversation with the owner of the dog should take place. It doesn't seem fair to have the victim, the person that's attacked and is emotionally distraught and emotionally involved in this, to come to the dog owner that is going to be defensive and protective of their pet. That needs to be separated, because it's just an ugly trail to go down, since there are laws there and there is responsibilities of the dog owner. Michigan even has, some states have what they call a 2-bite threshold, where like the first bite's kind of a gimme. Michigan doesn't have that. I mean, if you really wanted to get ugly, and if it went neighbor to neighbor, it could go to court, and they could basically, from what I understand, I'm not a lawyer, but they could basically demand the dog be destroyed with 1 bite. But that's not what we want in our neighbors. Our neighborhood, Pleasant Ridge, great place, great neighbors. We don't want to go that direction at all. So that's why I'm saying maybe the animal control, the responders can put forth what the responsibilities of the dog owner who had the dog that attacked, and not put it on the victim that was attacked. Because, some of the protective, carry mace, bring a weapon, those aren't practical for our community. That just isn't another place that we don't want to go. I'm trying to skip around and actually have this kind of talk. That really sums it up. I kind of summarized what I had written, because some of it she had already said. But the onus, from what I got on both victims, was a lot of it was put on their lap. When Nancy was just getting out of her car on her property, was attacked. Our other resident was on a sidewalk with his dog on a leash, and he was attacked. And in both cases, from anything I can gather, the victim had a lot more to deal with than the other one. The other thing just to bring up was the difference between the owners. The dog-on-dog attack, they were very responsible. They fully said, we'll cover everything, any expense that you incurred. So that issue was easier. There's still complaints about that dog has done this before, because it's got an invisible fence, it doesn't respect, it's come out, but the owners were aghast and really follow through. But in this case, there's no response. There's been communication and nothing has happened, so what recourse does she have with a neighbor? That just gets to be a very touchy and difficult situation to follow through on. And I don't think that police necessarily are in the legal counsel business to try and talk to the neighbor about what their responsibilities are. Possibly could overlap into their role, but animal control represent, but I just don't think that coming from the victim will have any impact, given the situations of protectiveness of their own dog and circumstance. So that's all I wanted to present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. any comments or?
Well, dog issues are challenging because they're always, sometimes there's violence involved, sometimes there's harm, and there's always emotions involved. The number one thing I can say is anytime an incident occurs with a dog, we have to have a police report. If you're hesitant to file a police report because you want to be neighborly, don't. Please contact the police and file the report immediately, because building that record is extremely important as we deal with managing these situations. If we don't have that record in place, for all intents and purposes, even if this dog has done other things before, for our intents and purposes of being able to apply the remedies available under the law, those other incidents never happened. This was the first thing that happened. So we need that. Please file the reports. Sergeant/interim chief Reed can provide more details about the specifics in this instance, about what was done, how it was handled. He was away on vacation when this incident occurred, so he reviewed all of the body cam footage of the interactions with the officer and both the victim and the owner of the dog. And he can fill you in on more details about what happened and how animal control was involved and the tickets that were issued to the dog owner. Some of the remedies available are civil remedies, which do require the victim to pursue a civil case against the owner of the dog. Some of those things are not available to the city immediately. We have our own pathways that we can follow under state law in terms of remedying these situations, and we have. There have been other cases of, there's a record of a dog being a problem over multiple instances. At that point, it becomes up to the judge what happens, what the remedy is. Some dogs have been ordered destroyed based on, their pattern of behavior and the owner's failure to correct that. So we do pursue all of those remedies, all of the pathways that are available to us under the law, but it does take time. Oftentimes you can find that judges are hesitant to do anything based on one incident because, there are rights on both sides of this equation. So I think that's just kind of the baseline.
It's the blessing and the curse of really liking everyone you live around, is that a lot of the times our neighbors will do things, whether it's dogs or other things, that we just don't report. We want to work it out ourselves. But on an issue as serious as an animal that might not be controlled, rather than to say that it's a bad animal, it could be that the animal is not receiving the ownership that it needs, could be. Those kinds of things have to be reported. So if there's a history of an animal doing things, then it's really important for people to report on that so that, as Jim has said, there's a history and there's something to act on. If we were to take action and to look at our own rule book, it actually doesn't matter that much if no one's reporting that the incidents are occurring. So really the first step is for people to be just, it seems not neighborly to do that, but it's the best thing to do for everyone to report it when things happen.
Can we step that up in awareness to the community? We have nice forums, we have, newsletters and such. Because the first time, I didn't because I was going into the person's house, and I thought maybe I was, it still shouldn't be attacked and rip your, Bible
Sure.
open because you did something neighborly. But, I don't think it's that clear, because victims have placed reports. I did, but a witness also placed a report, and I was told that doesn't matter. It has to be so those points of clarity
Sure.
weren't clear to me in the past and are now, and I'd like to think everyone else
Sure,
can sort of be aware of what I'm learning here.
no problem.
Because you're right, we are that kind of community.
Yeah.
I know you.
Right.
I don't want to make an ugly situation.
Right.
So.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mm-hmm.
I think what, Jim and Brett have hit on is really important is, I want to ask the residents out there, because I've heard of several other incidents of dogs attacking people or other dogs where neighbors have worked it out and without going, reporting it to the police. At one point, a dog was even killed by these other dogs. And that is, that's a situation that, while that's hard behavior to have to correct in an animal, that's not going to happen again. And it's like we can't take this approach. Like you said, children are so vulnerable to a dog attack, and so please, everyone, just help us keep the community safe. You're not being a good neighbor. You're actually putting other people in danger with this. And we will step up a campaign on social and whatever and really start talking about this. You know, because the other thing is the way our neighborhood is situated is we have so many, you know, people are out walking and jogging and running. We have bunnies and squirrels, and dogs react to all those things, which that's part of a dog. You know, if you do have a dog that's an aggressive, like has aggressive behavior or, and can be reactive, you know, please take those extra measures. You know, if you want to keep a dog like that who you love and everything. You know, I have a neighbor who I know he has a dog and he's very much like, do not come, you know, close to us when he's walking. He always, it seems like he has control, and his fencing is very secure and all of that. So he's trying to take very close action to be as cautious as he can. But also, yeah, make sure your fences and your gates are as secure as possible. And if they aren't as secure, you know, chain the dog up when you let them out in the backyard too, just to have a secondary type of solution. Don't have things next to your fences that are like sort of a launching pad for a dog if they're in a reactionary mode to get over that. And I know there are a couple things out there where it's sort of like a ribbon or something that I know some communities put on, people will put on their dog leash to sort of say, this is not a friendly dog. And we can, you know, try and do a campaign like that too. Just, because we don't want this to have to become neighbors having to sue neighbors over, you know, very scary situations. But so like from just a community, we can all try and step up. But if we can, you know, as, you know, can we have like the city manager and the city attorney look at what all the different options are? Like, is there any further than, you know, or do you feel we already know all the different steps that can be taken?
Well, I mean, I can't offer a legal opinion here. I'd have to talk to Greg Need about that. But I do know that state law exists on this, which can limit what local communities can do.
And I've heard that for years of, you know, having friends who have had different situations that it's like we don't necessarily have the tools to remedy something, but I think socially we can try and, you know, get people to step up their awareness a lot when they have a dog that is not as friendly as you would want in a community like this.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
So, and to add on that, so I think those are great ideas. As far as the neighborliness part of it and taking personal responsibility, I'll share, we recently euthanized our dog, who bit our toddler, and it was a complete accident. It was, he had to go to emergency treatment. He's fine. But it was one of the hardest decisions ever. And it is, it's a part of your family, but at the same time, people come first. Jim, what I'd ask too is, just anecdotally, I know people who have had to euthanize dog after a 3-strike, and I don't know if they're in Oak Park or in Ferndale. I don't know if there's benchmarking we can do, but I believe other communities have such.
It may not be the community, it may be because those go through the court system to have that order.
Got it.
In
So
a
it
lot
might
of
have
cases. It's not just
been a dog.
one and done,
okay.
right.
Okay, so it might have
'Cause
been a judgment that.
there's always circumstances to be considered. There's always, it's not a simple, because you have dogs who are unpredictable, you have people, you have, you know, circumstances. So for that reason, it's likely, I'd have to try to find details about those cases, but, you know, it was probably a judge that was ordering those dogs destroyed. I'm not aware of any ordinance that has a hard and fast 3 incidents or 3 bites and you're dead.
Got it.
I don't think it's quite that cut and dry. Because we've also had dogs ordered, destroyed, under similar circumstances from Pleasant Ridge. So it's just generally a discretionary decision by the judge. Rob, is that generally, in your experience dealing with these, an accurate statement?
We still have one in process right now, it's in appeals, but yes, it's set by a judge.
Right, good.
Thank you. And I'm sorry that you're having to deal with this. And just, it's a hard decision to make. But again, I don't know.
if I may. I have a dog who loves people, so that is not the issue I deal with. But what my dog does do is love to chase trucks. So for me, the thought of Monty getting out of the backyard or getting out of the door is terrifying for me because, like, the truth is he would chase a truck and die. So what I really need to do is make sure he is not getting out of my house or out of my backyard. So in a lot of these situations, it seems like what also is happening is people aren't, and as you said, making sure they are properly fenced in or making sure that the door is properly closed. So I want to, number one, reiterate the importance of that. If you're letting your dog in your backyard, if you have people coming in and out of your house, making sure those doors are properly closed and secured. But I also question, and I don't know what we can do if we have any ability on our side to, I don't want to say go after, but to, for in your situation, the dog, I'm assuming, got out it got out. Right. So is there anything that we can do on our side to enforce, whether it be with tickets or things like that, dogs that are getting out regularly of the backyards? I mean, is there, sorry to bring you in, and I don't know what the laws are around it, but, you know, to also be.
So our officers routinely respond to loose dogs.
Okay.
If we find that the dog is loose and the owner, I mean, there's numerous things. Number one, we're looking to see if the dog is licensed. All dogs in Michigan have to be licensed after a certain age. I don't know exactly what is that it? Okay, I knew it was. We do have loose dog ordinance. We contract with the, well, actually we have two contracts. We contract with the Oakland County Animal Control, and we also have one with Berkeley. So we can utilize their services because we don't have an actual pound here. So that becomes an issue. But loose dogs, absolutely. I think the big thing on all of this is call us. Let us know when you see it. Our officers go out. The reporting is not only what needs to be done, just what we were talking about, but it's an actual law. It's a state law. Anyone bit by a dog needs to report it. And as Jim spoke about, we can't do anything. We can't make that record unless we know about all of these along the way. But yeah, loose dogs, dogs at large, that's not a problem. We take care of that. The officers can take care of that. Anything beyond that, we usually call animal control. We partner with them. Depends on what it is, how the investigation's going. Sometimes they ask us to do stuff. Sometimes they handle it from start to finish. Just depends on the circumstances of it. This one, as Jim said, I wasn't in town. I was out of town. So I got updates when I got back. But I mean, all of our officers are, and I don't want to jump too much into your case, but I think the officer was pretty responsive. She spent a lot of time. She spent a lot of time with you. But it does go to, there's a criminal aspect of it and a civil aspect of it. And a lot of the stuff, while there may be statutes saying that there's responsibility, we can't enforce that. The police cannot say, oh, you owe someone, you know, money because of that's a civil thing. That's something that needs to be dealt with through the court or with the person themselves. So
Are we able to ticket for the loose dog for letting your dog
yes, we do.
get out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a city ordinance. We have that. We have state law.
Okay.
We can do it under a couple different things. We have loose dog. We have unlicensed dog. We have harboring a dangerous animal. We have, I mean, there's a few things that we have.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Chapter 10.
the harboring a dangerous dog, we go under state law, which is why we call the county. It's easier for the county to write that and deal with it. So it just depends on what it is and how things are progressing. And if there's a previous bite, you know, we started one that had previous bites and we went from start to finish and dealt with it over in 45th District Court with the help of the county. So it just depends on the circumstances.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I could,
Sure.
might as well round it out.
Why not?
This must have been a stressful situation, especially involving your grandkids. And I'm hearing the word responsibility and neighborliness, and it seems to me that the responsibility in the community, it's incumbent upon everyone to do what you did and report these things, and that is the neighborliness is to protect others from potential hazards like this, and thank you for doing that, and I'm sorry that you've had to deal with this. And I'm curious, what has your conversation been like with your neighbor?
Well, when it happened, I went to her very upset, and said, this keeps happening, you've got to do something about this. She said, oh, I'll pay for your code, and I'm sorry it happened. And then she found out I called the police and turned on me. I've known her, she's a friend of mine, I used to work with her, I've known her for 25 years. She won't return my text. She has rescinded the offer to pay for my coat that was destroyed. She said, well, you've decided to involve the police. Like, okay, so now you're bad. So it turned very unneighborly very quickly. So it could have been a very civil discussion, but the nature of this person doesn't seem to take us there, so,
It's unfortunate.
yeah.
And I'm curious, as things settle down, if any other written communication, if maybe extending one last olive branch to say, hey, look, I still think we could mend this and work through it somehow. That, that said, what is Sergeant Interim Chief Reed? What's the difference with how PRPD and animal control would handle the situation, and what could they do differently?
I think we do a nice job as it is. The officers, obviously, our officers respond immediately. The big thing is for loose dogs, if we can't find a tag, we don't know who the owner is. A lot of the officers know the dogs in town. Then we're calling animal control to come pick up the dog, because we don't have the housing facility. I believe it's Department of Agriculture that actually covers that. So you have to have like inspections from the Department of Agriculture to come and inspect your pound yearly. We don't have that. As far as the different types of calls, it just depends on what's going on, depends on the time of day. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., that's when Oakland County Animal Control works. We just had one maybe a month and a half ago. I came in on a Sunday because we had a dog. We waited all day, posted it on Facebook. Nobody came, so I had to drive the dog out to the pound, fill out the paperwork out there. They take care of it. It's all on a case-by-case basis. If it's Monday through Friday, then we're more apt to use them. When it comes to dog bites automatically get sent out there. Whether we investigate it or not depends, but a dog bite report for Oakland County gets sent out there. So that's just an automatic.
Yeah, I think what I've heard is there are cases that are reported, our police are responding, but there are some cases that aren't, because either we know the people, we know the dogs, what have you. And so as Jim has said, it'd be good for all of us to just report if we see something happen, so that there's a history with that animal and we can take action as needed. I think we will go back and just look at what we have on the website to make sure that it's clear what's available to people, and to make it a point for people to let us know if there are problem animals or problem owners. Thank you. All right. Was there any other public? Please. Oh, yes.
Hi, I'm Deb Hemme. I'm the director of your library, the Huntington Woods Public Library. I just wanted to give you an update. Actually, the very first thing I want to do is give a big shout out to Shawnee Stamper, the director of your community center, for organizing a library card sign-up day a couple of Saturdays ago, and we had 20 residents who came out on a Saturday morning. I know, honestly, it wouldn't have been me, to get new library cards. She asked me to give you a couple of stats, so that brings the total number of Pleasant Ridge residents with library cards to just under 1,939, and that's represents 36% of all Pleasant Ridge residents. So yeah,
That's
it's pretty
cool.
cool. It is nice. We now have 3 hotspots for circulation, so especially this summer, if you're traveling somewhere that doesn't have internet or has spotty internet, you can get a hotspot. In addition to our 70 jigsaw puzzles, we now have about 40 board games for checkout. We had quite a few teen things. We had an SAT practice exam that had over 25 kids come to it. We'll be doing another one in the spring. This past Saturday, we had an after-hours laser tag event which really I cannot do it justice in words. You need to look at the pictures. They took the whole upstairs. It was dark. They made it flashing, and it was very cool. So if you look at our Facebook page, you can see pictures of the laser tag. I'm sure we'll be doing that again. It was very fun. Yeah. We'll be having a Taylor Swift trivia night for teens.
Even the library has.
Even the library. That's coming up.
$1,000 a ticket?
Yeah, right. That's coming up in March. On Saturday, March 2nd, we still need teens to be our teen book buddies. They will be reading to preschoolers and earning NHS volunteer hours in the process. So anyone who's interested can just call the library and find out about that. Beginning tomorrow, coinciding with National Comfy Day, bet you didn't know about that, February 20th, we are having a cozy reading challenge. It's not even a challenge, but just kind of this fun thing. If you sign up, we put together little bags of cozy stuff like chocolate and hot chocolate. And anyway, it's supposed to be fun. The idea is to introduce people to cozy books. You can read whatever you want. We're not, nobody's going to check. This isn't school. But anyway, so that starts tomorrow. You can just register on our website or just come into the library. Also, the Woods Gallery, another shout out to Shawnee. She is bringing the senior group in April to our next exhibit, and it's going to be a cool exhibit. It's a photography exhibit, which sounds ho-hum, but it's all on metal, and he takes things like trees and finds faces in them, which I know sounds kind of ordinary, but trust me, it's not ordinary. You can go to our website and click on Woods Gallery, and you can see a couple of the pictures, but I think it's going to be a very cool exhibit, and the author has agreed to come on the date that Shawnee is going to be there, and her group is going to be there, so they'll have a conversation with the author. The author is Charles Stern, in case any of you know him. Last, just a reminder, we still have free COVID tests, free tax forms, and very soon we have solar eclipse glasses, and very soon we'll be having those out so people can stop by and pick those up.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Trip to Toledo.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi hotspots? That's pretty cool.
Oh, is the library accepting games as donations?
Yes, like in great shape.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any others? Please.
Hey everybody,
Hi.
I'm Charlie, our county commissioner, and I wanted to come talk to you all for a little bit about what we've done at Oakland County in 2023, and then get your feedback about what we should do in 2024. You don't have to come up with it all now, but let's talk. So the way I framed this out, because Oakland County, just so we get the context right, has a $1.7 billion in triennial budget, and it's $307 million in property taxes. And in 2023, we appropriated the last $80 million of our COVID relief money. So like, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about, but to try and make it make a little bit of sense, I focused it into things that we tried to do that will lower costs for people, and things that will help make it easier to thrive, is like a catchy kind of way, quality of life stuff. So, would you like to hear the lowering cost stuff or the quality of life stuff first?
Lowering costs?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So,
That leads to quality of life.
right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, lowering costs, we created a water hardship fund. So this is great because there's already water programs for people that are at 100% of poverty, but then you have this benefits cliff where then you fall off and you're just kind of left having to figure it out. So what we've done is we've made a water affordability fund that will go up to 200% of the federal poverty line. So this will also start to affect seniors that are living on on Social Security. So that catches a lot more people. We did this thing called Michigan Saves. Worked with Michigan Saves. We branded it and called it Oakland Saves, which is a energy efficiency home retrofitting so that the envelope of your building can become more weatherized and energy efficient. The first round of that program got caught up faster than Taylor Swift tickets. No, it took like a day. But $5 million to help people make their building envelope more energy secure. And that also lowers your DTE bill. but we might come out with a second round of those things. But that was a cool one too. Critical home repair program. So again, with an emphasis on seniors, trying to make sure that no one has a leaky roof, or if you need a ramp, we can help you out. So I worked on this one for a year, and we set aside money to purchase and then erase the medical debt of 80,000 families in Oakland County.
Oh, beautiful.
So that was cool. And then we also have our child care scholarship, which it has room for 1,000 families that make up to basically $120,000 per household to be able to qualify for this. And it's a $1,200 benefit that goes directly to child care center. So you don't have to touch the money. It doesn't affect anything and all that. So those are just some things about lowering costs. Making quality of life things. So we did our second gun buyback, and then also have now with this budget put into place a consistent funding stream. So that's pretty cool. So look out for the third one. We worked on a bunch of senior quality of life programs, so $8.5 million to work on senior isolation and all that. We put a bunch of money into Oakland 80, so not just getting people into the workforce, but people that want to level up. Because Oakland 80, the goal is to have 80% of Oakland County residents have a post-secondary degree of some sort, or education, or training, or certificate by 2030. And we're at like 72%. So we either need a bunch of people to leave, or a bunch of people to get some certificates. So we're hoping for the certificates.
We probably want one more than the other.
Yeah, definitely. This was a cool one. This might be interesting. Co-responders. So we, in collaboration with the Sheriff's Office and with our Community Mental Health Agency, OCHN, we worked to appropriate a bunch of money to the Mental Health Agency, OCHN, to put in place, do we all know what co-responders are? All right, it's a co-responder is a social worker that co-responds with police. Because what we found is a lot of the police calls that happen, at least in the sheriff's catchment area, but also I think this holds true in a lot of places. A lot of those are domestic disturbance, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, things that have like this escalation to them. That then a way to de-escalate things is having a social worker with 4 or 6 years of training in how to work with people in these crisis situations. And then having a cop be able to be there as, if you will, like backup or to help make sure the situation stays safe or becomes safer to help start to resolve the conflict. And then the co-responder, who is a social worker, then comes out and does aftercare to make sure that people are getting the resources they need, or if they need to go to Haven, or if they need, if there was a problem because someone has an alcohol problem, they can tell you we're in an AA meeting, all these sorts of things. And so this has been piloted in a few communities in Oakland County, and the co-responder that they've used in Birmingham, Troy, somewhere out West Bloomfield, she had 444 calls in her first year, or 444 calls, and then aftercare for those. So she was super busy. So they now are trying to find a second one. So this inspired us to try and make this a countywide program. Critical infrastructure grants. So this is something that Pleasant Ridge benefited from. This was a $2 million pot of money that we set aside for helping with the planning of critical infrastructure. So, we can't help you fix all the water pipes or whatever, but we can give you $50,000 to help offset the cost of the architectural drawings. So that was that, and that was pretty cool. And then we put $20 million into Oakland County Parks and created 4 new Oakland County Parks. And just because we're on the south side here, we made 3 of those. I guess Pontiac is Pontiac north of M59 kind of? Sort of, kind of spread, it's both and.
Yes, it's
I
their
don't know
Woodward.
where Hawthorne, maybe it's north. We're going to say it, all 4 parks are south of M59. So those are the updates. I would love to get your feedback or thoughts or questions about that. And also, if you have any just key words you want me to think on for 2024, if you want to email me or talk later about it, I'm happy to do that. But we're really trying to now, I know it's February, but think about, well, what are we going to do now? Because we're back to you all feel it, we're back to normal government. We don't have $240 million extra dollars to just wish away problems or, you know, give the animal control office $700,000 more to hire 10 people, which we did like 2 months ago. Now we're gonna have to figure out how to keep those people, you know? So, any ideas would be appreciated.
We'll send them to you.
Cool, yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We're really
Lead
appreciative
service
of
line.
everything that we got from
Yeah.
Oakland County this past year.
Yeah.
Lead
Yeah.
service
And thanks for
lines, that's
coming.
my
We're
only.
Yeah.
accepting
Yeah.
donations.
Okay, lead service lines,
Right.
donations, got it.
Taylor Swift.
Enable
Taylor Swift.
entrepreneurship, what the governor said.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the thing Sam Altman said, but there's going to be a $1 billion company made by one person at some point, right?
Whoa, yeah,
Why don't they
right.
come from Oakland County?
Damn,
Let's
that's
make
a
it
great
happen.
point, great
Not
point.
us.
Okay, okay, understood.
Can I ask just one clarifying question?
Yeah.
Like the critical home repairs, all like you said, Oakland Saves in a day gone. Is there any money left for all of any of these programs, or are they all?
Oh, yeah, right, that's part of a bummer, right?
Yeah, they're all.
Yes,
Utilized?
the critical home repair program still has money left.
Okay.
Also, this helps bolster, because if there isn't money for the critical home repair or the Oakland Saves program, there is the HIP program, the Home Improvement Program, that our Neighborhood and Housing Development Department's done for a while, which has a revolving fund of almost $2 million in it, and they'll do up to, I think it's $18,000 or $19,000 worth of improvements, which is a roof, right? Like, I know inflation, but that's a roof. So, you know, call us or talk to me or email me or whatever, or have folks reach out, and there's probably a way to do some sort of home improvement or weatherization. There's, you know, OLSHA, the Community Action Agency, has a huge grant from the Department of Energy to do weatherization over the next
Okay.
5 years. So
Yeah,
there's,
that's awesome. So it's
yeah.
still, I mean, if people have projects and they need help,
yeah,
definitely.
reach out.
There are some income requirements for those, but
Of course.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Charlie.
All right. Any others? Okay. I think we'll go on to our liaison reports. Commissioner Lenko.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Quick update. So last Wednesday, we met with the two consultants, the two finalists for the community master plan work. So it's going to entail quite a few meetings, community engagement, getting out the word. It's going to be important for our neighbors to get out the word and participate in this process. But it was a great meeting. It was a joint session between the Planning Commission, the Rec Commission, and our commission. I know most of us were there. It was a nice presentation, spirited conversation of the joint committee afterwards, and there was, you know, discussion, debate, kind of a split room for those who weren't there. And then after more deliberation, we came to a consensus and selected McKenna. So we're going to vote on that later. It's not a foregone conclusion, but I support the McKenna recommendation. But and from there, really, Jim, I don't know if you want to fill in any more gaps, but like once we make the award, then the ball starts rolling and we'll start planning dates.
I'll fill you in on the agenda item when we talk about that in a few.
That's my update.
All right, thank you. Awesome. Commissioner Perry and the Arts Council.
Thank you, Mayor. The Arts Council met on January 17th. They had a presentation from the new, from the group that's going to help with our public arts framework plan and discussion by Ralph Nunez, who was selected by the Arts Council and then approved by the City Commission. You know, so that just started talking about like what are the big, you know, where are we even focusing and going. So it's going to be great, you know, especially rolled in with the master planning, seeing where, you know, all the different ideas that will come together. And a lot of opportunity for the public to give their ideas and feedback about the city. There is a very fun, super fun, actually, it's a super fun art party that is going to be Friday, February 23rd, 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. up at the community center. And what that is it's going to be sort of like a, you know, a mini moth or something for creatives, for artists to sort of present their work. Everyone gets 3 to 4 minutes to actually present your work. You can bring a slide, you can bring visual, or not a slide, you can send us an image digitally, and we can, put that up on screen. You can also bring a piece of art or any type of visuals if you'd like. But it'll be a great way for people to sort of see the creative work that different people around town are doing. And so we have some really great artists who have signed up, but we want as many of you to come out and see what people are up to as possible. There'll be some, snacks and drinks there. And so come on up from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. The program begins at 6:30, if not a couple minutes before that. And then, so come on by. The next meeting will be on Wednesday, March 21st, 4:30 p.m. right here at City Hall of the Arts Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schmier and the Historical Commission.
Thank you. The Historical Museum will be open this Saturday from 10 until noon, so come check out your house file. Historical did not meet in an official meeting this month, but they actually had a workshop, and they set up a computer and also a screen at the museum. So it really is the first step to digitizing, because there is so much information that is sitting on a hard drive somewhere. So it will all be pushed digitally, which will be good for everyone who's checked out their house file. There's actually a lot more digitally, so that is coming. And then the other thing I'll say is that we do have an open seat on historical, and I know there are open seats also on planning and rec. So anyone who's interested, please put in an application. You can do it online. You can do it at City Hall. You can reach out to any of us, and we'll be looking at that next month. So you have a couple more weeks.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, on to the Rec Commission. Commissioner Budnick?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Rec Commission met a couple weeks ago, and something that came out of that meeting was due to the pool volume visitors on holidays, that the Rec Commission decided or is recommending that 6 guest passes will be the limit per household for 4th of July weekend, Labor Day weekend. And so this is something that they're going to push forward to the City Commission, and we'll get to discuss and most likely be on the agenda for March. Wanted to give everybody a heads up. And, the impetus from that too kind of was, once we reopened after COVID, folks got to see what, those first 2 weeks as we broke in all the new lifeguards, we got to see what it was like just to have residents at the pool, and it was a nice ease into the season. So I think that really just stuck with folks when they try and go to the pool on a holiday and it's packed. So that's what the Rec Commission discussed and is recommending, and more to come on that. Upcoming programs or activities. They have a few more movies left in the Oscar movie series right now. Movies are listed at the Rec Center and on the Facebook page, so call if you need the lineup. And swim team registration deadline is March 29th, along with the summer job application deadline, which is also the 29th. A couple others. T-ball registration deadline is March 15th, and this is a co-ed league. And this is for kindergarten and first graders. Practices are in PR, and games will be played in Huntington Woods. And for the graduating seniors, don't forget to apply for the Women's Club and Pleasant Ridge Foundation Scholarship. So check the Ridger for specifics on that and those monies. And a couple other things. As Commissioner Schmier said, there are a couple openings on the Rec, and we are more fun. So I'm just going to put my plug in there.
I don't know. I've been on the Historical Commission. I can tell you.
yeah.
Okay. No, in all seriousness, it's fun. It's fun to get. We're a fun group, but getting involved in any of the commissions is a great thing, especially with the master plan. That is such a fun time to be involved. So if anybody's interested, great time to jump in. And thanks to Sam Sharp, says she watches these meetings at home, so I'm going to check now that I'm mentioning her name. Thanks to Sam, Amy Miller, and Al Koskowski for coming to the interviews. And Don.
Don St. Aubin.
Did River make it?
No. River waited in the car, did not want to come in.
the car, I know. I know.
We don't know what
Well,
happened.
thank you for that. I thought I was leaving one off here. And Last, shout out to my niece Mela Ostrowski, who watches these meetings from home. She's 5, and we'll see if she's on tonight. So
I never thought to do a shout out.
yeah, it's the millennial in me. Yeah. All these people say they watch, so I usually I'll probably get a photo here.
Right.
Yeah. So,
All right.
I think that's all I have.
We're gonna
And
have to like challenge
okay.
our families now. to
Right.
all
Right.
Step it up, see who's
Right.
watching.
Get those views up on YouTube.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I'll just give a quick update on Ferndale Public Schools. Something I learned over the last day is the Board of Education has monthly meetings. However, they publish their meeting schedule on their own website page, not in the Ferndale Public School page. So if you are following their meetings, dig in a little deeper into the Ferndale Public Schools website. You will go to District, Board of Education, and then their meeting page, and then you'll see where their meetings are. And the reason that's important is because they're hiring a new superintendent. That candidate may come from internal, but they're scheduling special meetings around this process. Those meetings are not on their monthly schedule, so you just have to stay tuned and see when those meetings pop up. One was yesterday. Thankfully, Commissioner Perry was able to attend that. I wasn't able to make it. They're going to have a follow-up meeting on the 26th of February to talk about it a little further. If you go to that website, you'll see a 5-phase plan that they had to hire the superintendent. We'll see if they keep to that plan or shift a little on the 26th. I hear there might be a little shifting going on, but if you're really interested, just stay tuned. I think of it this way: I don't have kids, but their budget is, 3-4 times bigger than Pleasant Ridge. So even if you don't have kids, pay attention to the Board of Education, because it's just such an important thing that they're doing for our city and other cities. They have a major budget that they're managing, and of course, looking after the welfare of our kids collectively. Just get to know what they're doing. And with that, we will move on to government reports. Okay. Nothing
for
from
coming,
fire.
though.
That's actually good news, I think. Police?
As far as the crime front, we don't have anything to report, which is great. Once again, yeah, things are going
Right.
well. Our officers are taking care of business and making sure that crime is away. We did have the Punchies with Police event today. It was well attended. People really liked it. Things went great. We invite the public to always, let us know what's going on, what we can do better, what they'd like to see. And we got some of those comments today. So, back with the dog thing, I was saying, just report it. That's the main thing I want to get out to all the residents is whatever it is, call us. If you see something suspicious, call us. If you get bit by a dog, call us. Whatever it is, just call us. We have officers here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we will take any call. We will try to help as best we can, but we have to know about it. And Facebook doesn't count. We don't monitor Facebook to find out what's going on. We usually find out later, and someone will say, well, I put it on Facebook. Well, the police don't monitor Facebook. So please call our non-emergency number, 541-2900. If it's something where someone can be hurt, injured, medical, obviously call 911. But call us. It's what we're here for. Regularly we go to calls and people are like, oh, I'm so sorry that, I had to call you out. No, that's our job. That's what we're here for. We are more than happy to respond to calls. So, any questions from anyone?
None for me.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to the consent agenda. May we have a motion?
Mayor, I move that the consent agenda be approved.
Second.
Any comments? May we take a vote?
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmier?
Yes.
Commissioner Budnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Lenko?
Yes.
Mayor Scott?
Yes, the motion carries. All right. On to the comprehensive plan.
Yes.
Jim, we made it to you.
8:25, let the record show. So as Commissioner Lenko noted, we did evaluate the 5 proposals, 4 that were submitted on time. One was did not get to us. So we evaluated the 4 proposals for the master plan consultant selection process. The Planning Commission went through, the City Commission, Recreation Commission, and Master Plan had the chance to evaluate the proposals against our scoring rubric, all 4 of them. We compiled those results and reviewed them with the Planning Commission, who then chose to move two firms forward to interview. Interviewed those last Wednesday. It was a good process. We had good turnout from all of the recreation, planning, and city commissions. And then ultimately arrived at a unanimous recommendation that we select McKenna as our partner for the comprehensive plan update. And again, this is a comprehensive plan. We're doing the master land use plan per state law. We're doing the Parks and Recreation Plan. There'll be an MDNR compliant plan, which will make us eligible for grant funding that we won't get. And then also the transportation plan. And I say that it's not, I don't mean to be facetious or flip, but we've applied for a lot of recreation grants and we have no success getting those because there's a very large community need, community economic background component to those, which is a lot of points and which we never qualify for. So that's fine. We obviously have other resources available to us to fund our Parks and Recreation efforts here, including the Parks Endowment Fund and other things. So the Parks and Recreation Plan, we did it in 2018, hard to believe, but that was a very successful plan. It led to a lot of projects that happened that were identified through that planning process. So I'm looking forward to see what the next 5 years of projects come out of this planning process. One of the things with the interviews was that McKenna was the lowest cost and the other firm was the highest cost proposal. And one of the reasons was McKenna's proposed community engagement plan was solid, but didn't include as much. And so one of the things that could be done would be to authorize increased funding for the project to have McKenna expand their community engagement scope. So after the interview, one of the questions we asked is, what would you do if we gave you an extra $20,000 in your scope? And McKenna had a great answer to that. They mentioned some very specific engagement events and techniques that they would like to use, opportunities to make sure we have the fullest and most robust engagement process we can to reach people in public meetings or reach them where they're at home through the ability to participate virtually or asynchronous meetings where you can participate at home or in person or surveys or just ways that everyone can participate according to their own time, availability, and preference. So they've proposed $12,500 of additional engagement processes, including strategic visioning workshops, more specific stakeholder roundtables, expanded online engagement, and then a policy prioritization workshop at the end of the process for the city and through the 3 commissions that'll be overseeing this plan. One of the things they also propose to do that they've been wanting to do that I think is valuable and have been interested in doing as well is creating a version of the plan that's a native digital version of the plan, so that the actual paper document you get or the PDF file, which is typically static and just kind of not interactive or responsive or accessible, to do a digital version of the plan online that you can actually interact with and that will basically take you through the plan in an interesting way. So they've also proposed doing that, and I think that'll be an interesting and valuable addition to the scope as well. So they proposed their $20,000 of additional fees that bring our project scope to $60,000. We had budgeted $80,000 total for the project, so we're still under what we had budgeted, and we had of course done that over the 2 budget years, this current budget year, and then the project will extend into fiscal year 25. There's also provision for additional hourly services that they could add on at their hourly rates in their proposal, things like office hour listening sessions, if we wanted to add that in as well. So that's an hourly rate. So the $20,000 of additional engagement and plan website services, and then the hourly services we could authorize whatever we wanted to give them allowance for other things to be developed as the project rolls out. So next steps would be after the contract approval and also authorization of the budget will be to sit down with McKenna and start to plan out how this process rolls out. We do also have the public art framework plan process, which will be happening. So I don't know if there's a chance, I don't know if we want to try to overlap some of those events, but both of those processes will be occurring in tandem. We need to figure out what the best way to approach those two processes are. And we also have the Regional Safe Streets for All plan, which will be occurring with 7 of our neighbors in southeast Oakland County. That's a grant-funded project that will allow us to eventually apply for Safe Streets for All implementation funding, which is a very large pool of money. But that process is also going to be occurring on a parallel track with our two processes. So it's going to be a summer of plans. And but that's exciting because after COVID, you know, our sheet of things to do is kind of blank right now. So it'll be good to have some things to work towards that come out of these plans.
And something we've said during the process or throughout the process is that these plans have led to projects that we've actually implemented over the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. So it will seem like a lot of planning, but it always results in something that people really get some value out of and just really enjoy, help pull the community together.
Right. The Woodward project that happened, that was a surprise to many, has been 10 years in the making. 10 years of plans and meetings and public presentations and working with MDOT. And that's, you know, this is version 1. And certainly upgrades and improvements can be made, but, you know, that's part of this. The Gainsborough Park, the pavilions at the pool and also in Gainsborough Park, all of those projects came out of these processes. So it's important, and it's important work, it's good work, it's exciting work.
When would you imagine, just based on what you're thinking today, that people will start getting asked to be engaged in the process? Like the spring, the summer?
Yes. So probably what we end up doing is combining the publicity effort for these plans as much as we can. Not necessarily combining the events for these plans, but you know, it's hard to grab people's attention. There's a lot of fragmented information space out there. It's hard to, you know, cut through the noise sometimes. So when we push out the information about these plans, I think we want to give all the information in a unified way about public art framework plan, master plan, what your opportunities will be. The public art plan, we're shooting for spring to early summer to have the major events for that, mostly so that we can be outside, because a lot of that's going to be in outside spaces along the Woodward Greenbelt Park. So it's important to be able to go be in those spaces as we talk about the potential for what we do with public art. So that's the timeline for that project starting. Probably something along those same timelines for this project, but to be determined. A lot of it's going to depend on how McKenna wants to phase the different parts of engagement. You know, surveys versus in-person meetings versus online, other online engagement activities. You know, those things can happen at different times.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
So then if it comes out at one of the meetings that an office hour would be helpful, it'd be easy to flex, or how much advance notice, I guess, would McKenna need? Like, is that something we need to order now, or is that something
I don't think
on
so.
not on a whim, but like they would be prepared to, if it comes out that 6 people are interested in an office hours or whatever, McKenna could accommodate?
Yeah, I think, so we've got a $40,000 baseline scope. We've got a $20,000 additional fee that we were able to not get in the packet, but we got yesterday to the commission to consider. You could authorize that. And then you could authorize a certain additional amount for additional services to be added through the process if we find necessary at their hourly rates.
For example, you could not to exceed 65K.
Gotcha.
And then there's an extra $5,000 if we see there's a need for more community engagement or shifted around a little.
Right.
And that's still 15K under
Yep.
Right.
the budget we had thought we'd be at.
Exactly. And the language, this is important, this is how it would work, but the language in McKenna's proposal is hourly services are not scoped in this, are not included in the scope budget and can be provided at the direction of the city. So obviously we'd have the final sign off on adding those hourly services on.
And to follow up on what Commissioner Lenko said, I think when we are making the motion, including some flexibility is important. I know during the meeting, one of the things that stood out to me was they were giving an example of like a master plan they had done for a different city. And halfway through the process, they had realized that there was some misinformation and some confusion. And so at that point, they really kind of took a step back and did another public engagement to try to re-educate and re-inform people because there was a lot of this confusion going around. So I think having the flexibility to make adjustments is important, so kind of giving ourselves some wiggle room there.
Suppose we need a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the contract with McKenna for comprehensive planning consulting for an amount not to exceed,
65?
I was gonna say the full 80 at discretion of,
I'm okay under 80.
Yeah.
80 or below, so, yeah, that's what we had budgeted, so
and.
I don't think we'll spend it, but.
Right.
It prevents another meeting to get more money.
Yes.
And I would say, based on this conversation, we would plan a scope around 60. We'd have that 20. And then we'd have to sign off on that beforehand, but that wouldn't happen in a vacuum, so.
Right.
Yeah. So not to exceed 80,000.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Schmier,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenko,
Yes.
Commissioner Budnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Mayor Scott.
Yes, the motion carries. Thanks, Jim. This really went smoothly.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It was a great event. too. Like, it brought everybody out and they were
did.
talking. It was great
There was
conversations.
a lot of participation.
There was, and, you know, both it was a tough choice, both consultants were qualified.
Yeah.
And
It
both
was.
spurred some good thinking and, you know, interesting discussion, so.
All right, city manager's report.
Yes, as, if you've been up to the community center, you may have seen the kitchen update project is underway. It's amazing how small the room looked with everything torn out of it. So again, this is a foundation project that we are facilitating on their behalf, but we expect that this will be done within the next 6 weeks. So
Wow.
pretty quick, tight
Fast.
timeframe project. That was one of the important things for the contractor that we chose, that they could get it done in this amount of time at a competitive cost, so that was good to see. Library millage renewal, the good library discussion, just put it on your radar, but that millage is up for renewal this fall, so that'll be on the November election. Again, it's just a straight renewal, and the library millage is fairly small, 0.3 mils roughly. On a per capita basis, we pay about as little for library services as any community in Oakland County. So our partnership with Huntington Woods has been very good.
We get laser tag.
Yes,
Seriously.
That's
I
amazing.
know, I want to play.
yes. Loose brush pickup and salt delivery will be next Tuesday, the third Tuesday of the month. It's always the third Tuesday of the month. For whatever reason, we've been seeing a lot of loose brush placed out at random times throughout the month. So we've been putting door hangers, please remove this back from the curb, because we don't want loose brush sitting out at the street for weeks on end. So please remember, third Tuesday of the month, it's fine, put your loose brush out the weekend before the third Tuesday of the month, that's fine. But we don't want it sitting out there for weeks and weeks. Same thing with bag yard waste pickup. That resumes April 1st. This winter, I think it's probably a function of just the warmer El Nino, whatever it is, winter we've been having more yard waste bags placed out at the curb. But those are only picked up from April 1st through the
December.
second Monday in December.
Mm-hmm.
We have actually had discussions at SACRA about looking at ways of accommodating bagged yard waste disposal throughout the winter. Residents can always take bagged yard waste to the SACRA drop-off center on Coolidge. But that requires you putting the bags in your car and getting them out there to accept them. So, I don't know, that's something we're talking about, with changing weather patterns, with just, you know, different, but it's always
Older
variable.
trees, all that.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But for now, don't put bag yard waste out at the curb until April 1st. We can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have to pull it back in or do something with it until then. And I think also something with maybe the warmer weather we had over the last week, but all of a sudden we started getting it's kind of like the daffodils blooming early. The traffic complaints have started rolling in about traffic in town, and it's everywhere. So I don't know what's causing this. I think background traffic everywhere is higher than it was 10 years ago. From all the traffic counts we do on our regular basis, there's been a 10, 20, 30% increase in traffic on all of the streets we measure. So there's just more out there. And I don't know if people driving since the pandemic, or I don't know, but if people are just driving more badly than they used to, it's hard to say. But we know we've got a list of streets we're doing our traffic counts on, and we'll try to measure and see, there's always perception, and there's the data, which are often, sometimes they're the same thing, sometimes they're not. And, I know that, especially nowadays, as cars keep getting better and better and more insulated and more comfortable, the perception of speed inside the car and outside the car are very different. And as cars get bigger, the perception of speed changes too. So a car that's going 25 miles an hour, if it's a Honda Civic from 1995, going 25 miles an hour, that feels very different than, the overly large F-150s or whatever. Cars have just continued to get bigger, and that creates the perception of more speed for that vehicle that may only be doing 27 or 28 miles an hour, but it feels a lot more because you hear the tire noise. You can actually feel vibrations more from it, heavier, larger. So,
And there are more people at home now.
yes, and work from home, and yes, exactly. So all of these things, it's, trying to separate the reality of traffic issues from, the perception of traffic issues, and there's always reality there, there's always perception there, and how that, relates. And then the question is, what can we do about it? Because if you have traffic issues, and if cars are only going 26, 27, 28 miles an hour, there's not much you can do. That's not a speed problem. So, drivers behaving badly is something that the police can deal with on a episodic basis. But we get complaints for streets all throughout town about the issues. And, the police have many things going on, and they pull one driver over, and that's 10 minutes for that stop. And how many cars have driven by somewhere else? If they get a call for service and they have to go and they're dealing with a dog issue for an hour and a half somewhere else, they can't be pulling people over. So, the police can only do so much. They're limited in numbers and time availability. So, I don't know what the answer is. And a lot of it is volume complaints. There's more traffic on my street than there used to be, but if that traffic is, feels like it's going faster, but if we measure it and the 85th percentile speed is 27 or 28 miles an hour, that means
good, actually.
most of the cars are doing the speed limit.
Right.
So it becomes very difficult for what you do, because, if we move traffic, if we try to restrict traffic on one street, we know the traffic goes somewhere else. Because we know on Poplar Park, the traffic is higher between 4 and 7 because of the no right turn on Millington. So that's an issue where, the problem of the cut-through traffic at the afternoon rush hour, which is, notable, it gets moved. When, we hear about Fairwood being closed and how that moves traffic to different streets. So closing streets doesn't solve the issue. It moves it around, creates winners and losers. It's a difficult
I can tell you, just
subject.
having talked to mayors from other cities, it's a problem that exists everywhere. In almost exactly the same words, people are feeling the increase in traffic. Some of it is because people are at home more during the day than they used to be. They have more control of the time they spend at home, so they're at home at 11 a.m. and seeing it more. And it's people like me at Trader Joe's at 11 a.m. rather than in an office. So there is more traffic flow. And then we had a really warm week ago, and then there were a lot more 20-year-olds in fast cars for a couple of nights.
Yes.
That I think people were responding to as well. So
And that
we are paying attention to it. I can't say that what we'll do for each street yet, but we know that it's there. We're measuring and doing what we can.
Yes, doing what we can. And yeah, you're right. Every city, every community is dealing with these complaints. It's not a local Pleasant Ridge issue, but I don't know that anyone has a good answer for it.
Yeah.
We're in a popular place.
Yeah.
And we have the traffic calming manual, right, with the procedure in place to get a petition. So if there is an idea from the people, from the street, if there's a majority, right, it's a 51%, I think.
Right, to start the process.
Correct, to start the process.
Right.
And Sylvan being a great example. I mean, Sylvan.
That's a success.
Yeah, it's a success. People on the first block at Sylvan, from what I hear, are really happy, and they've definitely seen an improvement. So.
And just kind of spot check, like, do we know, have there been how many mirrors have been broken? I mean, like, stationary car, like, has there been much sacrifice
Right.
to the cars, or?
So there was one pickup truck that had its mirror taken off, I think, the second day of
Okay.
that process, and I haven't heard of a single issue since.
Okay, so maybe, one confirmed maybe, and it's been 6 months at
Correct.
least, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Seems to have worked.
Yeah.
No, I mean, everyone I talked to is on that block is very happy. So,
Cool. Anything else for us?
Nope, that's all I had.
Give us some good news.
The weather's supposed to be warm again next week, so
All right.
roll the windows down and crank up the tunes.
Yes.
Slowly,
Right.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Slowly.
but not through Pleasant Ridge.
and not too loudly.
Other business.
Mayor?
Yes.
There is an election coming up, and it comes up on the presidential primary election is on Tuesday, February 27th, and you can vote. You can vote early for 9 days before the election in Oak Park, and all the information is on the website. With this election, you do have to declare your party to vote, and so all of those permanent absentee voters, you have to, absentee ballot voters that are expecting ballots in the mail, you need to let the city clerk know which
When you want.
one you want, and
And-
Send it
they've
to
had
you.
notices sent out.
Important correction, you don't have to declare your party.
Oh,
It's an open primary, we don't care
okay.
who you participate in, it
You just
doesn't,
declare a, you
you
have
just
to ask
have,
for a
you can,
ballot. to
it doesn't matter
request
if you're a
ballot.
Republican or a Democrat or unaffiliated or an independent, you can participate in either primary.
Okay,
And there's two primaries that are being run by the parties. So we are facilitating two primary elections on the same day, which is why you have to choose one to participate in. And this only happens once every 4 years, like the Olympics or the World Cup. We will not be asking you to choose a ballot ever again, and we don't care who you vote for
Well, until 4 years
years
from now.
ever again. Well, yeah.
And also, what you tell me for this ballot, nothing in the future. Moving
Right.
forward, nothing at all.
right, so you can vote, you can do a strategic
Yes,
thing, you can do
absolutely.
whatever. It
However you
does not
feel.
matter.
Not go on your permanent
Just
record.
ask for
The
one.
key is there's some work to do up until that date, just to make sure you get a ballot. If you're expecting one, absentee.
Yes.
Please
And-
call if you haven't gotten it.
And for every election in the future, you'll just get mailed the ballot.
Right.
Because it'll just be one election, not two, on the same day. So yes.
Okay, so, but make sure to vote. So there you go.
Yes.
So February, what is it?
27.
27.
27th and 9 days before, for the 9 days before that.
Yes.
And there's a lot of information on the website, the city website, so go check it out.
Call if you have any questions.
There we go. Anything else?
Mayor, real quick, I forgot to mention, no guest passes on Memorial Day opening weekend.
At the
So-
pool.
At the pool, yes, not Taylor Swift at the Huntington Woods thing. All the guest passes you want.
Okay.
Yeah, no guest pass is allowed on opening weekend, which is May 24th to the 27th. I don't think I mentioned that. And then the limit of guest passes is what is being recommended, so.
Got it.
Well, more to come, but
So
that's,
limiting for holiday weekends.
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll be interested to follow that
Yeah.
discussion.
And
Yeah.
Memorial Day has been no guest passes for a
Last couple-
few years.
Yeah.
2-3 years.
That's
yeah.
right.
Right.
And I think it's been good, but we'll see.
Just a couple of calls.
Yep. You take those, right?
Okay.
Greg's sitting back there like, yeah.
Never heard anybody ask for bread.
Any other business? Any other business? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are done.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.